Happy Sunday, everybody. Welcome to Sunday service. Today, we've got a little bit different of a format than we're used to. In fact, I don't remember the last time we did this format where we actually have a one-on-one type of format. And today, my guest is Matt. Matt is out of Virginia Beach, and as he called it, the 7 cities. As you can tell, I know nothing about the 7 cities, but he's from those 7 cities. We're going to talk about it today. We're going to talk about his journey, where he's at in his business, and possibly what we can do to help amplify and get him to the next level. I've got a ton of students in Virginia. I'd love to have my students reach out, maybe squat up with Matt. And today we're going to answer some questions in the Q&A, Matt and myself. I'm going to put Matt right on the hot seat and have Matt answer all the questions.
All right.
It'll be a good one. So Matt, how you doing, bro?
Good, brother. Appreciate you, man. I'm grateful.
Me too, man. The reason why you're on here is because we ran a contest inside of our Facebook group, Creative Finance with Pace Morby. And the contest was, hey, we want to get some one-on-one time with Pace, Cody, and yourself if you invite the most people to that Facebook group. And it's kind of crazy, that Facebook group, we started it a year and 4 months ago, and it's at 30,000 members, and 27 or 28,000 of them are active every single week. So it's an incredibly active Facebook group and one of the best places to find out more about real estate. Oh, look who we got. We actually got Cody Barton on here today. Let's check it out. Oh, there he is. What's up, bro? How you doing?
Yo, what up?
What's up, man?
So, Cody, this is Matt. Matt won the contest for our Creative Finance Facebook group for inviting the most members during our last contest.
Oh, sweet.
So we brought Matt on.
Nice.
Thank you, bro.
I'm going to put Matt right in the middle, dude.
Yeah.
We're going to make a Matt sandwich.
Nah.
Matt, how can people get a hold of you if they are in the Virginia area?
I mean, Facebook is IG. Either way is fine. It's just at Matt Suddith. There's not many Suddiths that I know other than my father. So, and my 3-year-old son, and he's not on social media. So, Matt
I've
Suddith.
never heard of Suddith at all. So you must be the only Matt Suddith.
Yeah, that's it, I think.
Love it. So, guys, I've got my IG Live going as well. So if you guys are on IG Live, just so you know, every Sunday at 7 p.m., we are on youtube.com/Pace Morby. We are streaming Sunday service. It's a podcast that Cody and myself, my business partner of the last over 2 years, we've been actively doing Sunday service for, what would you say, Cody? At least 18 months, right?
Yeah. I mean, summer of 2019. No. Yeah. Summer of 2019. 2 years. Yeah.
Holy crap. How did it start?
I mean, we're just like, maybe we should, people keep asking us so many questions about what's going on in our business and how to help them. So we're like, why don't we just start, doing a call where we talk about our deals we're working on, and let people just listen in and ask questions. And we started on a conference call line where people would have to like dial in a pin on their phone to listen in. And then we switched to, what did we switch to? Instagram Live.
We switched to Instagram Live for like a month, and we're like, that was the worst idea we ever came up with.
Yeah, that was like worse than the phone line, I think.
Yeah, it was not a good idea. So we were doing that for a while, and then I ran into Ty, Ask Flipman on YouTube, and I was talking to him about how he goes live and what he does, and he suggested StreamYard. So I sat down with him, and we started running StreamYard, and we had this time when we first started, this is before COVID hit, where we were at like 800 live viewers every single Sunday. And then COVID hit, we kind of paused on Sunday service for, I'd say, like 4 or 5 months.
Yeah.
And then we had to come back and build up our audience and all that kind of stuff. But here we are, Sunday service, guys. If you're on IG Live, switch over to YouTube. As you can hear my wife right now, this is so funny. My wife is walking through my house. Can you hear my text messages go off right now? Okay, well, my wife is going through my house, and she's sending photos to our handyman, hundreds of them, like, fix this, fix this, fix this. And I'm in this group chat. I'm getting blown up. But anyway, Matt. So let's talk about your business. What are you doing? Where are you stuck? What's going on? How can we help? What do you feel like you need the most in your business right now? Are you having ups and downs? Are you steady, like launching to the moon? Are you making hundreds of millions of dollars? Where are you at?
No, not there yet. But yeah, I guess that is the thing. Creative finance is the thing, because I guess I started wholesaling about 10 years ago, maybe dabbling, if you will. I didn't really get serious till maybe 3 years ago. My brother moved back to Virginia, where I'm at, Norfolk, from South Carolina. We got serious then. I mean, basically, especially recently, I'll fast forward all the way to recently, is just, I don't know, man. It's highs and lows. Maybe it's the market, maybe it's me. I don't know what it is, but everybody, it seems like all our potential leads that's coming in from our VA is potential creative finance, and that's where we kind of get stuck, because they're wanting retail, they're wanting, you know, what, that's just what it is lately. So it's like, you know, might get a good wholesale deal, let's say something huge, like we've done 50K deals, we've done $900 deals, but then it'll be another 3 months, it'll be whatever. So because we just need creative finance. And I have worked with my brother and I, and we have another partner, Shamir. He's actually just turned 16, so I'm sure he's watching, so shout out to you, Shamir. So he's amazing too, and we have the one VA, same company you guys use. What is it? They switched the name.
Start Virtual.
Start Virtual, yeah. VA Start Virtual. So yeah, but all the leads coming in now, it seems like shit, 99% of them is potential for creative. So we get stuck a lot with that. We've been squadding up, as y'all say, with a lot of y'all. Hannah was actually one of the very first that I spoke with, but I know she got more hands on with you and wasn't able to help as much.
Yeah, we ended up hiring her full time. She's been one of
Right.
I was just telling my wife how great of a job Kelly is doing and how blessed we are that she came into our world. And as you experience with her, she's just such a warm and welcoming person. But then she was so helpful to so many people, and then we ended up hiring her full time because of how helpful she was.
I can see why. Yeah,
sure. She's unbelievable. She's so great. Yeah. You're getting a lot of leads. You feel like 99% of them are creative finance related. What are you doing with them? Are you assigning sub twos, assigning seller finance, or do you get stuck in that conversation and you don't know how to convert it over?
Yeah, that's the thing. We get stuck on it. I mean, we have now, it's been, I don't know, maybe let's say a year. So been going through, there's been a lot of sub two students who've haven't really worked out, and I'm not dissing anyone. I'm very grateful, but you know, people be busy and stuff. They have their own business. So, but I have a few now that are, nothing is closed yet, but a couple on the verge. Some awesome sub two students have helped, you know, are currently helping. But yeah, that's basically what you said. We get stuck on that, man. It's like, let's say average with one VA, 3 potential leads a day, but the majority of them, you know, we need that help because it's like they want retail, or you know, it fits into that creative finance category. So we get stuck, you know. We can get them
3 leads a day from a VA is really good.
Yeah, average, sure. Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. They're amazing.
Most of the time we tell people to expect like 2 maximum on average, right? So if you're hitting 3 on average, I mean, I'm sure you're having days where you hit 0 and then one day you get 5 and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But if you're averaging 3 a day, how many days a week are your VAs calling?
5 days a week. So now it's, was it Tuesday through Saturday?
Yep. Smart. Cody, is that the best setup?
Yeah, it's not bad. Monday through Friday is fine. Tuesday through Saturday, we didn't really notice that big of a difference. The main reason we don't have them call on the weekends anymore is because our salespeople don't follow up on Saturdays. So we just have kept them Monday through Friday.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I mean, that's good as far as, you know, how the lead flow is going in your business. Obviously, you know, then it comes to the conversion aspect. I mean, you know, one of the biggest things I would say, Matt, is understanding that most of the time, like, it's very seldom that a lead is going to be asking, you know, at wholesale pricing. It's just not super common. And, you know, a lot of times it's those one, you know, they're usually holding their cards and, you know, saying they want retail.
For sure.
And so are you finding that these people are open to creative terms, but you're having trouble negotiating the terms with them, or they're just probably not that realistic, whether they're selling on creative terms or not? I mean, is their motivation strong enough, you think, on the ones that you're having challenges with? I know Pace could chime in really well with, you know, those levels of motivation here too.
Yeah, I mean, it's both, for real. I'm sure y'all see that too, you know, so it's a mix, of course. So since I'm not a creative finance expert by any means, I don't know. And like I said, I have sub two students that are helping, are, you know, trying to help. We haven't closed anything yet, but so some of them, I don't know, could be trash. But some of them might say what you're saying. Yeah, we're open to terms. For sure, like you said, I agree. No one's going to come in there and rarely come in there and say, yeah, I want 20 grand for a 200 grand ARV. You know what I mean? But so that's rare. But even still, I don't know if it's like nowadays because of the market, because it's going crazy. I don't know if it's that or what it is, but it just seems recently everybody is, and we can get them as far as saying, hey, are you open to terms? Get them there, but then kind of get stuck, so that's where we're kind of at.
Okay. So let's talk about this. Cause I think that, one of the greatest things that the sub 2 students have access to is live calls, right? So like the reason why so many of our students are doing so well is because instead of us just teaching, hey, here's the script, go do that. A couple weekends ago, Matt Beard and myself actually just got on the phone with our student sellers and just called for 5 hours and showed people exactly how to convert those conversations. So it was sub 2 deals. Like we just locked up a sub 2 deal for one of our students where student's like, I'm stuck. I don't know what to say. I go, call him right now. Student's like, dude, it's 10 o'clock at night. I go, okay. Is the seller motivated or not? He goes, she's motivated. I go, call her. We woke her up, locked up the contract. This was literally 2 weeks ago. We woke her up. We locked up the contract and we bought it and closed escrow 2 days ago. So in less than 7 days, right? So my suggestion, Matt, is why don't you go back to your team this week? Okay. Go back to your team. And I want you to bring me 10 leads. That's your goal by Saturday. Okay. I want you to bring me 10 leads by Saturday and I will personally call those leads for you. And I will let you into my private sub 2 Zoom so you can see how that community reacts and what we do in our private Zooms. Dude, I'm not kidding you. I had a student cry this morning on our Sunday morning Zoom. It is such a family atmosphere and so fun. I would love to show the students how to treat somebody from the outside of that Zoom and bring you in. But you've got your entrance into one of our Zooms is your key to the entrance is going to be you setting up 10 leads for me and Matt to call for you.
Yeah, should I leave on a high note now that I'm excited about that? I could just exit now because that's dope as hell, man. That's amazing, man, for sure. I can't even.
Well, man, I have a hard time. I'm a monkey see, monkey do kind of guy.
Yeah,
right?
Same. Yeah.
I have a hard time teaching people, and I think that scripts are shit. I just think they are. Like, think about this. Like, Matt, you married guy or you got a girlfriend? What's the story?
12 years together. So basically.
Okay. Was everything you told her, was it a script?
No, of course not.
Right. And that's how I feel about sales. I don't feel like sales should be a script because it is true relationship building. And if you're going on a date with a girl, you might have some guidelines. You might have some notes to write on your hand, like remind her she's beautiful, remind her she looks good in green. But outside of that, if you go off of a script, it's going to come off disingenuous, right?
Absolutely.
And so what I want to show you is I want to show you how to talk to sellers, not tell you how to talk to sellers. I want to show you because same thing with Cody. Like, think about the years and years Cody had to put hard work and effort into being good at what he did when nobody was able to sit down and show him the step-by-step of how to be the best integrator in business. Like, there's things Cody's doing on a daily basis that I'm just like, wow, thank you. Like, he just brought a new CFO to the table. He brought a new HR company to the table. I wasn't involved in any of those decisions. It would be, Cody, how cool would that have been if somebody showed you that 3 years ago?
Yeah, no, it'd be great. I mean, it's like the lessons that we learn even consistently now are out of failing. And, it's like going to the next level. It's like, hitting your head a few times and then, I'm going to do something a little bit different than that.
I would say there's been a couple of people along the way that have tremendously helped us in our partnership. And I would say Ivo Dragunov from Batch has been instrumental in a lot of the stuff that we do. And a handful of other people. But I know that, like, the challenge is you're only getting small little nuggets from them. But what was cool about Evo is that Evo was able to, he just opened up his playbook and he was like, come into my office. Let me show you. Bring your laptop. Let me show you. And for that type of value, I feel like that's the thing that people need to go over the edge, right? Like
100%.
reading a book, going to a seminar, watching YouTube videos can only do so much. And at some point, I just need somebody to take my hand and show me the way. You know what I'm saying?
Totally agree. Yep.
So who on your team like, let's say your VA from Start Virtual, by the way, shout out Start Virtual. They run basically our entire company. Startvirtual.com for anybody that needs a VA. Amazing company. So Start Virtual generates 3 leads a day for you. Who's the first person that talks those leads outside of your VA?
Well, now it was my brother and I. My brother has taken on, our uncle owns a construction company, so he's basically with that full time. So really now it's down to me, and I mentioned Shamir. He just turned 16, so it's either me or him. And he met me off of TikTok, and he just hit me up asking me about how to help with wholesaling. So I was like, okay, he'll be, people, I'm obviously, you guys know, hit you up all the time asking for help. And I was like, sure, I'll help you with wholesale and maybe be a bird dog or something. He turned into a partner. And so it's basically me and him now that my brother's working full time. I love that.
That's so cool. Many people sleep on how powerful social media really can be.
Yeah.
Cody and I get we get private lenders, right? I get lenders that reach out to us all the time,
I'm sure.
And say, hey, I want to invest in your projects. We get employees that we hire. Dude, it's crazy how powerful social media is. And when people go, you just hit me up on IG. People go, oh, I don't have an IG.
Yeah. Well,
that's like the business card for the 2020s. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. That's the entire reason I'm here right now, because I had an early mentor some years back, and I had, 900 friends on Facebook, and he was saying, man, you got to get the max 5,000. I was like, no, I'm not doing that. But then I started doing it and making it all real estate related. So I had 5,000 whatever friends, that was real estate related, and I said, okay, there you go. I'm gonna see if they can add value and get value from the group. So it was easy for me to.
What's your name again on Instagram?
It's Matt Suddith. It's my name.
Okay, so Matt Suddith. Everybody hit him up on Instagram if you want to reach out to him. Here's what I would say. We've got nearly 300 people in here watching live, which is great on a Sunday evening. So shout out to everybody that came in here live. Let's take a little vote. All the students that are here, all the sub 2 students, what do you guys say to letting Matt come into a Saturday Zoom this upcoming Saturday and having us call his leads and showing him what we're all about? Are you guys all, give me a yes or give me a no? I think just knowing how our students operate, we've never done that before. Our mentorship, very, very exclusive. We've never brought an outsider in, but I think that's really what the whole purpose of this is like we teach our students to turn around and teach other people and become, micro mentors themselves. So getting a lot of yeses in here. Love it. Kamahai. Look at Kamahai. Freaking Kamahai. I love it too.
Kamahai.
So, love it. Okay. So Saturday, here's what I want you to do. Okay. This is what my students will do. They'll actually set up a phone call for me so that the seller expects a phone call. Right. It's not the end of the world if they don't, but what you really want is you want the seller expecting a call. And what I would do is I would set these people up. So let's say during the week, you either are going to go back to previous leads and go, hey, you know what? I told you I probably couldn't help you. But we actually added a new partner to our business, and he runs a whole separate division at this point. I'd love to get you on the phone with him and see if we could actually get you the number that you were asking for. Are you still open to selling? And if so, are you open to getting on a phone call sometime this Saturday? Okay. Yep. What I would do is I would set up the call between 10 a.m. Arizona time and 1 p.m. Arizona time. So that 3-hour window. You're in Virginia, so right now in Arizona, in Arizona it's 7:18. What is it? 10:18 where you're at?
Yeah.
Sorry, dude.
It's all good.
Well, like, come on our podcast 10 p.m. at 10 p.m. Sunday night.
My son's asleep. I come out back. I have a separate space out back, so it's all good. I'm grateful. I would have done it at 2 a.m. It's all good.
Love it. Okay, cool. So what we'll do is I want you to try and set up 10 calls. If you can't set up 10 calls, no big deal. But I'd love to have you set up as many as you can. Each phone call I typically do will take about 15 to 20 minutes. So try and stack them in the best you can. Absolutely. And I'll probably call the first 6 or so, and I might have Matt jump in, make a few phone calls, and then I'll have some of my top students jump in and call a few of them as well, just to kind of show you, the students can be, and a lot of them are just as good as me on the phone. So we'll switch that up and show you how to take the conversation of, yeah, I'm open to terms, or even when a seller says they're not open to terms. 2 weeks ago, I made 5 hours of phone calls, and we had multiple sellers. Like, the student set up the call and the seller says, no, I'm not interested in creative finance. No, I'm not interested in seller finance. No, I'm not interested in terms. I want my money now. Yeah. And during those 15-minute conversations, I convert those sellers into saying, damn, I don't know what you just did, but you like, yeah, I have to go this route. This is the way to go. I want to show you how we do that. Okay.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. I've got maybe 30 minutes left. It took me months, mind you, but I almost done with the 24-hour live you did. So I got a few minutes.
Shout out to anybody that finished the 16-hour and the 25-hour live.
Yeah.
Well, I did a 16-hour live. I did a 16-hour live April 29th of last year, and then I did a 25-hour live about 2-3 months later. Sounds like that's the one that you've been chopping up.
Yeah, now I don't know which one it is. I have to look, but yeah, one of those. So they're both insane, but
they are insane. So let's go through this for a couple minutes. So just to rehearse this, okay? What I like to do is when you have a seller that says, I want $200,000 for a $200,000 house, you say, okay, great. Well, we do pay that kind of money. We don't have a problem with paying that kind of money, but it's going to go to a separate division in our company that talks more about terms. Okay. Matt, you've heard my F-150 story, I hope?
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay. So
even my 16-year-old partner, Shamir, says it to people now like that. So yeah.
Love it. Okay, cool. So, and there's all sorts of stories that our students use now, like the credit card store, all sorts of things, chopping down the orange tree. There's all sorts of amazing stories that help sellers understand what terms means. But I would do your best in helping them understand what terms are, and whether they say yes or they say no, it doesn't matter to me. I still want those phone calls. Okay. Most of the time I tell the students, I want the absolute worst phone calls. I don't want the easy ones. I want the hard ones, because I want to show you how to overcome objections, not lock up deals on easy laydowns.
Right.
And what we'll do, maybe Cody and I will end up buying 10 Airbnbs out there in Virginia Beach. Who knows?
Yeah, that'd be amazing. Yeah.
We're trying to dominate the world right now with Airbnb. So we'd love to take a look at them. Yeah, Quality QC says Tree of Life story is a really good one that we tell.
Tree of Life. Yeah.
So what we'll do is you set those up and you say, hey, I have a new partner. He brought a few new alternative ways of buying properties to the table. I'm not that great at explaining it to you. So I'm going to have him call you on Saturday what time works. And then I want you to try and fit that in a window of 10 a.m. Arizona time, which would be 1 p.m. your time, up to 4 p.m. your time. And we'll make those phone calls.
Absolutely. I'll wait till we get off here till I run down the street flipping out. That's amazing, man. I appreciate you.
Of course. And you'll be inside the cocoon, the oasis that we call it, of the inside the Sub2 mentorship. So
I mean,
outside of that,
sorry, go ahead.
You go ahead, Matt.
I was just going to say quickly, sorry to cut you off. I've got some on the verge with some of your Sub2 students already. So I don't know. Maybe I won't go with those. So that was just.
Yeah. Give me different leads. Give me different leads.
Okay.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Absolutely. Yep. Give me different leads. Let the students work the other leads with you. In fact, what I'll probably do is that Matt and I will push those conversations forward for you with those other 10 leads. And I'll probably hand those conversations we'll probably lock up 1 or 2 of those contracts. Awesome. But what we'll really want to do is the other 8, we'll want to move those conversations forward to a follow-up, and the students that you're already working with will be the ones that'll help you do the follow-up long-term on those.
Amazing. Okay.
Sound good?
Awesome. Yeah.
Carolina Allen says, I've done deals in Indy. Happy to help. I think she's talking to somebody else, though. Oh my gosh, Kyle Wetherill. I had this phone call 2 Saturdays ago where people were like, so what's the opening line when you talk to a seller? I go, doesn't matter. And they were like, well, don't you say the company name? Don't you say, hi, this is Pace from America Home Offers? And I was like, no, I just tell them that I just had a ham sandwich. And that's my introduction. Right. And at the end of the phone call, the guy was like, you are the best salesperson I've ever talked to, is what this guy says. It was, I actually never told him my name. We got through a 15-minute phone call. He was a guy who said he wasn't originally interested in seller finance. We converted him into seller finance conversation. He was like, oh my gosh, this is great. Makes so much sense in the world. And he never got my name. And at the end, he's like, what's your name again? I go, I never told you. I just told you I was eating a ham sandwich. So it was a really good one. It was, we just did like a little snippet on my IGTV. So outside of seller calls, we're going to help you out with that. Okay. Outside of that, what do you feel like systematically you're struggling with in your business? Maybe Cody can help you out with some stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely, because got it from you. No, I might mess it up. Rocket Fuel, I think that was the one where you do the integrator. I had my team do that at the time, I already knew that I'm 100% visionary, basically, and my brother was too. So that's where it was difficult.
AKA disorganized. AKA.
Yeah, 100%. That's where, when I think it was you. I don't know if it was you or I heard it. I'm pretty sure it was you talking about, an example of like a plumber who could be a great plumber, but has got shit ton of receipts in his car all scrambled up. I said, yeah, that's it, man. That's for sure. Yeah, all day, man. So Cody is the man. Somebody like that, you know what I mean, needed for sure. Because
I was telling somebody the other day, they go, Pace, thank you for everything you do, and I was like, you guys don't truly understand that I couldn't do half of this stuff, not even 25% of it, without Cody. Cody is the most important relationship I've brought into my life, and somehow manifested this guy. Look at him. Over time, he's grown a longer beard. He's turned into more of a man. He's driving Porsches and Maseratis. The guy is unbelievable. So good question. Jonathan Wallmarker says, where are you marketing? Tell us about your marketing. What list are you working? Let's get Cody to give you some feedback.
Yeah. Now we're doing, we've done everything in the past years, but right now just it's Mojo, our VA is doing, whether it's tax delinquent. We have so many lists, and I think I may have even heard it from Cody where I stopped. We were like getting new lists all the time, and then I was like, holy shit, I think I listened. I think it was you, Cody, who said that. And so basically I think the past year we stopped that. She's just redialing, which has been amazing. You know what I mean? So all the lists we already had that we kept going, we haven't even bought a new list, I think, in a year.
Let's pause on that, because I want to make sure we hit that home. There's people that have not heard that before. So Cody, do you want to reiterate what that advice is and what the problem is that people are causing in their own business?
It's the truth, man.
Yeah. When it comes to the list that you're working, a lot of times people think they buy a list of 5,000 or 10,000 records. They call through at one time, and now they need a new list. It's that list has been called through, right? So the thing that people have to understand is a lot of this business is timing and then consistency. It's hitting the list at the right time, consistently working through that list to be able to get those people that didn't answer the phone the first time that they were called. And so what we look at doing is, if we have one cold caller, one list of 5,000 to 6,000 records should last typically a full month. And, for some people, they're like, well, no, I'll dial through that in about a week or just over a week. And well, the thing is, you recycle through that list. You're going to go through that list, multiple times. Once you've went through that list, 6 or so times, and it's really gotten down from that 5,000 to 6,000 records to now there's 2,000 or less records. Your lead count has started really going down. You're getting less than a lead a day. Obviously, that's when we look at adding more lists into our database, is once we're seeing that we went through that, 6 to 8 times, depending on the list, or if it gets too small too fast, like you've already had a lot of, DNCs added, you've had, the leads that have converted and over into your system. So that's a big thing that people end up burning through too much money too quickly. So one cold caller could have one, list of 5,000 records for a month. And then, you just add on, every month and a half or so. And then you could arrest the list and come back to it after a couple of months and try to, drive through that list again. And you could still scrape leads out of there. Like you're saying, you've pulled a lot of data over time, and you've even noticed you can still scrape leads out of those. So you can really work through these lists a lot and pull opportunities out of them.
So it's such great advice because we see that all the time. And guys, anybody that's watching on IG live right now, we're on YouTube. So jump over to youtube.com/PaceMorby. We've got about 300 people watching on between my YouTube and Cody's YouTube. So that's great advice, dude, because it saves people thousands of dollars. I think it's something that the list providers and the skip tracing companies are not going to tell you to do this because it takes millions of dollars out of their pockets. But real quick, Cody and I bought 4 seller finance deals this week, okay? This week from a wholesaler that we gave a single list to 2 years ago. And that wholesaler is still calling on that same list. And every single month we're doing deals with that wholesaler from that list. Yeah. And how big the list was, it was probably like 13 to 14,000 records. That's it. They just continually call that list over and over and over and over. They struck lightning. They got one seller that is, how many seller finance deals have we bought from that one seller from this person? Probably a dozen or so.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we'll continue to buy another 20 or 30, all on seller finance. They'll all turn into Airbnb. That's from one list we gave that wholesaler 2 years ago. They are still calling on the same list.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I was going to invest more in my business, what I would invest more in is I would get a second cold caller or maybe a texter rather than buying more lists, right? Cody, do you kind of feel the same way?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when you're at a point where you feel like you're okay, you've capped out on what you can do with the leads that you're getting. Obviously it's, getting additional help to generate more leads. But in your situation where you're, getting a few leads a day, I mean, where do you feel like you're most stuck? Is it in having those, sales conversations with those leads, or is it, are you tracking, how many calls you're making, on a weekly basis as well?
Well, that's another thing with the KPIs and things like that. My brother and I had brought someone on board, but like I said, my brother even himself had to go back to a regular job. So he's, we weren't really doing that. Like Pace was saying, being an organized person or an integrator like yourself. So all that stuff that needs to be done, I got to get better at it myself. Because
is Shamir, is that his name? I apologize if I said that. Okay, Shamir. So is he kind of more of an integrator personality a little bit?
He more than me, yeah, which the bar is low, but yeah, he's kind of both. He did the test, and I think he was 50-50 basically.
So here's one thing that I would suggest doing, because one of the biggest things that I talk to investors and they're like, oh, I'm having trouble. I'm getting some leads, but I'm having trouble. It's actually keeping track of how many phone calls you're making on a daily basis. You will be surprised if you actually truly track how many you make. And that could be, a big game changer in the results that you're getting. So I would have him, help you track them. Literally, don't make it complicated. Like, make it as easy as possible for you. Download an app like CallRail, for example. You can, track how many calls you've made on a phone number, or however you want to do it. It doesn't really matter, but get something where you can track how many phone calls you've made in a day. And then at the end of each day that you're working Monday through Friday, making these calls, have Shamir help update just an Excel sheet, literally Excel sheet in Google Drive. Tomorrow is August 16th. August 16th, calls made, contacts made. And, that's going to be a big thing for you to look at. Like, and if you're not making at least 65 plus calls a day, Monday through Friday, that's the first indicator of, okay, that may be your issue more than having trouble converting sellers. Because if you make the right amount of calls consistently, deals just kind of start to happen. And I mean, Pace, I know you always tell the story of our sales guys last year where, it's deals aren't happening. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah. It was actually really interesting is when COVID happened, right? So when COVID happened, our sales team, I get a text message from our sales manager at the time, and he's like, man, I'm having like a mutiny with all the sales team. We're having a problem. Everybody thinks the world is ending. And I go, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. So I jump in my Prius because I'm balling hard. I ball so hard, I drive a Prius. So I jump in my Prius, head down to the office, and I have a company meeting. And they're like, yeah, man, the news is saying this and the such and such. And that's why our contracts have stopped this week. And we're really slow the week before that. And COVID. And I'm like, okay, but what do the numbers say? And it came down to us opening up the KPIs. And we found out, because at the time, our sales guys' minimum amount of outreach. So this is very different than cold calling. Our guys weren't cold calling. They were just doing follow-up, right? So we were having our sales guys do 50 follow-up calls every single day as a minimum threshold. And literally, this is what they said. They come in and they go, well, you know, the conversations have been so hard that's why we've slowed down. I was like, what are the numbers? Tell me the numbers. Where are we at? Show me the numbers. And their average phone calls per day, Matt, take a guess. How many phone calls were they making a day? Their average, they have to be at minimum 50. Where were they? Matt somehow got muted.
10. I don't know.
You're right. It was between 10 and 15. 10 and 15 phone calls. They weren't even doing 20% of the work. And so what was happening is they'd have one or two bad phone calls on that. Somebody would bring up COVID. Like, what are you talking about? I'm not going to sell my house. COVID is going on. It's crazy. And it would demoralize the guys. And at the end of the day, this is a math equation, right? So for us, we told the guys it needs to be 50. Just get to 50. And I stayed on top of them every single day. And all of a sudden it was like, boom, 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 contract. Go back. We have another sales meeting. I go, guys, here we are. What was the thing? And they go, we weren't making the calls. We just weren't making the calls. You're 100% right. It all came down to the numbers. It comes down to the numbers. That's it. Same thing in the JV department. So think about this, Matt. In our JV department, we have a few guys that are doing outreach to other wholesalers and other realtors here locally, right? And they just say, hey, you know, I represent Pace and Cody. They're fixing and flipping. Now, Matt now is part of our fix and flip business. I represent them. We want to buy, right? We found that they were just not even close to the amount of outreach that you have to do. And so there's a KPI for us there. Okay. So on the sales team, on follow-ups, the KPI we follow is what are your daily follow-up calls? Minimum needs to be 50. Okay. Minimum needs to be 50. And if you can't make 50 follow-up calls, that means you don't have enough leads. So you got to go back and make sure. And for you have 3 leads a day times 30 days, or not 30, probably 25. So you're generating 125 leads a month. You have enough leads. We just got to talk about how you follow up. What's a better follow-up process? And if somebody says, no, I'm not interested, do you follow up? The answer is typically 90% yes. And how do you follow up? And what do you say? What are the scripts? What's the guideline? What do you do there, right? But from the JV department, it's a different KPI. It's not 50 outreach calls every day. It's how many addresses can I comp for a realtor or a wholesaler before I get a contract. And the number for us is about 35. So that means if you are in the JV department and you only got 25 addresses sent to you this week, then you don't deserve a contract. That's it. Like, you might as well not have worked if you only comped 34 addresses this week, right? It's either 35 addresses minimum or don't even work at all, is my opinion, right? So it's the same thing with you. You guys got to take an inside look at your follow-up and what are your daily phone calls and when are you guys doing it consistently? If you are doing it consistently, what is that number? Do you know the average amount of phone calls you're doing outreach on right now, Matt?
Yeah, no, that's the problem. Yeah, I think we did it one time.
Cody, what would be the easiest way for him to track that?
Yeah, just literally call rail, Excel sheet, and there's fancier ways to do it. But I don't like giving fancy ways because then it adds like confusion. But like if you can open an Excel sheet and type in at the top the date, calls made, contacts made, and then you just track. Then the next day you start, add the next date, and just do that. And then organize it a little bit better as you go, and just keep keep an eye on the consistency. Like I was telling like Pace, like my girlfriend Hael, she's been working for a couple other investors, working and basically running a lot of their operation over the last year, and she's going out on her own. And she's like, I was telling her yesterday, she's like, well, what should I set my goal as, and this and that? And I'm like, just focus on the activity. If you just focus on the activity, the result happens. It's like, getting excited about your body looking a certain way after going to the gym, when what you should just think about is, okay, I need to eat this many calories and go to the gym this many times. And if I do that, then that end result that I want is going to, eventually just happen. It's just easier to just focus on that day-to-day action. Obviously have your end vision of where you're wanting to go with the business, but if you just focus on the activity, everything else will work itself out.
Has anybody ever felt like, tell me if you guys have ever felt this way. You ever heard the phrase, if I'm given 6 hours to chop down a tree, I'm going to sharpen my axe for 5 of those before I start chopping? As a visionary, most of the time what we do is we just we don't even care what the axe looks like. If it's sharp, it has covered in rust, we pick it up out of the dirt and we just freaking work, and we're working and working and working and working and working. Meanwhile, somebody comes along with a sharp axe and just goes boom, 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 the job is done. Right? And so I hate to say it, but there are little pieces of your business, I feel like, Matt, like if you don't know your average phone calls you're doing outreach on and your follow-up, that means there's probably other KPIs that we're missing that we got to really dial in for you. Write that one down. Cody, what's another thing that he should be tracking in order for him to get a little bit more in line of knowing where his numbers should be? Yeah.
So as far as your leads go, tracking how many leads you're getting a month. Obviously it sounds like, you're getting a decent amount, every day, every week. But just tracking that over each month, because then you can start to, look backwards historically over, 30 days. In the last 30 days, I've gotten this amount of leads. And in the last 30 days of those leads that I've gotten, I've made this many phone calls. And based on that, I was able to get 1 contract or 2 contracts. And then you're able to start putting together, on average, it takes me 370 phone calls before I actually get a contract, or maybe it's 500 phone calls or whatever that is. And then you can relate that back to the amount of leads you're getting too. And then you can have a little bit more certainty, because what I've found a lot of times, Matt, is when, people start talking about, the market's getting, challenging, or it's, prices are, getting crazy and sellers are getting crazy. They're always crazy. They always want too much. And
has there ever been a time in the wholesale industry where all the wholesalers are like, damn, man, everything's easy right now?
Yeah, no, it's never.
These sellers are level-headed and they want the right number.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah. So I think, you'll have a lot more certainty when you're tracking some of that data a little bit more.
Yeah, for sure. My brother, when he was with us before he went back to working a regular job, he was doing what you said, the simple stuff with an Excel sheet, because we were like, man, we got to get this shit like you're saying. But then once he kind of me and
do you have access to it? Can you pull up his Excel sheet and see how many you can?
Yeah, we do. Even that is like, I mean, I can learn it, I'm sure, but like speaking French to me, Excel, that's like, I'm like, man, I don't even know. My brother's telling me how to do a damn email half the time. I'm like, I'm so with the visionary thing, I'm just rolling. But he was helping with that. Everything you're saying is 100. I know that's what's needed. So you're absolutely right. Just got to get back. Yeah, we can pull it up to your question.
It's interesting when Cody and I first started working together. So I was already, Cody and I both had our own separate businesses before we ended up partnering together. And I actually had multiple businesses, a wife, a kid, two kids, brand new baby. My baby was like 5 months old when I first met Cody. And Cody and I would have to block out time to work together, right? Where we would either meet at Starbucks, or I would go to his condo and I would sit on his floor because this broke ass bachelor didn't have chairs. He had one dry erase marker that was orange. Like it scarred me that was the only dry erase marker he had. And we never actually We actually never, he probably still has that orange marker, to be honest. So but we blocked out time. I remember there was times where I would just I would just lay down on your floor, Cody, and I would just make phone calls to sellers from my cell phone, laying on my back, and you were sitting in your desk working on stuff.
Yeah, I'd be like looking, I'd have Podio like right here, and then I'd like turn and I'd be like, all right, so this seller, this is a situation, call them. And then like you'd start calling, and then I'm like scrolling, I'm like, all right, what's the next one for him to call after this one? And like, all right, here's the situation with this one. Like,
right. So that's what I'm getting at, Matt, is that I feel like you and your brother, even though he's got his full-time job, you guys need to time block an hour a day, or 3 hours on a Saturday or something like that, where you guys sync up physically together. And he only does integrator work, and he turns around and he says, get on the phone with this seller, get on the phone with this seller, get on the phone with this seller, get on the phone with the seller. And that's all you do. And then when I would get a seller that was interested, I would walk outside and I would pace up and down Cody's condo complex and just lock sellers up over my cell phone. Okay. Like, you've got to time block and get those times together. I do feel like if your brother's got his full-time job, it's really hard to pin him down. And so you're sitting there feeling like, I got to do this on my own. It's got to get done, or else either I got to do it all, or it ain't going to get done at all. Right.
Yeah, me and my partner Shamir. Now, my brother is a visionary like me too, so that I dig your point, but yeah, right. Your point is valid, but still, yeah.
So when do you and your partner Shamir get together and time block and like actually physically talk about each lead as they're coming through and all that?
Well, I mean, we talk throughout the day, but he's in Ohio actually. Like I said, he met me off TikTok, so we're not physically meeting up, but
physically could be Zoom. Right. Yeah, physically it could be Zoom, where you guys are on Zoom with each other, and he says, hey, he's screen sharing Podio with you or whatever CRM you're using. And he goes, hey, here's this lead. We need to call this. And you call that seller right there while you're on the live with him. So it feels like you guys are in the same room together. That I'm telling you brings cohesion, and it brings like connectivity between you and your partner like you wouldn't even believe.
Yeah. When my brother left for back to the regular job, we were sort of getting there, because him and this other guy we had brought on, we're getting there. The guy that we brought on was more of a integrator, and we were getting to what you're saying. It kind of just fell apart. So it was like, so you're 100% right. I know. So I've been slacking myself. I'll put it all on me for sure.
It's not that you're slacking. It's that, it's the same thing where you've got to invest your time where you get energy back in return. And it sounds to me like Excel, sending emails, tracking leads, even caring how many. Your thought is like any other visionary. You're like, why does it matter how sharp the axe is? I'm freaking swinging the piss out of this thing and I'm working my guts out. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And I have that tendency too. So it's not that you're wrong about anything. It's not that you need to be doing Excel. It's not that you need to learn how to do all these things. You just need to push more of that on your partner. And you guys need to adjust the way you can communicate on a daily basis, where you guys are on a Zoom. Don't be so isolated from each other. I feel like you guys are probably pretty isolated. I would try and be on Zoom and feel like you're in the same room together. And I think that would elevate your conversations. And then on top of that, what I would do is, obviously, we're going to teach you how to convert some of these seller conversations to go further in the seller finance realm. One thing that's amazing about creative finance, one of hundreds of things about creative finance that's amazing, is that creative finance actually gets us more cash deals than you would even believe. Because what happens is these sellers, right? We'll get on the phone with the sellers this Saturday for you. The sellers are having a dozen conversations with other investors, and those other investors are not talking about terms. They're only talking about cash as well. And the person who typically gets the deal is the one who keeps the longevity of that relationship going further than anybody else. Creative finance opens up other doors and other opportunities to have more really good conversations with the seller. And we end up coming back to sellers a lot of times. They go, yeah, you know what? I love the creative finance stuff. That just doesn't work for me. I really like you over these other people. Why don't you just give me a cash number that really works for you? And then we can move them down the right direction, because we kept going with them 4 or 5 conversations more than any other wholesaler was able to do. So we'll teach you all that kind of stuff. But I do feel like one of the biggest issues in your business is definitely we've got to get Shamir dialed in. And Shamir should be looking at you and going, Matt, I need to take all this stuff off your plate. You should not do anything but talk to sellers all day long. Do you agree with that, Cody? Like, you should be doing nothing but talking to sellers.
I mean, he's great at it too. I know, Shamir, if you're listening, whether it's live or later, I'm not.
Cody's good at it too.
Okay.
Cody's good at talking to sellers too, like surprisingly good at talking to sellers. I tease, and a lot of people tease Cody, but Cody's phenomenal. And same thing with me. I can see spreadsheets better than most people ever can. I'm incredibly organized. I'm incredibly like dialed in on that stuff. But you know what? Cody's Superman with that. So I'm not going to try and do even a little teeny job of Superman's. I'm pushing it all on him. Okay. And I'm going to lose all my pride in saying, well, I can do that too. Right? That's a challenge. So there is like, remove all pride here. Whose job is what? Right. And I actually do believe in pointing fingers. If we don't close contracts, whose fault is it? It's my fault, or it's Matt's fault, or it's the sales team's fault. If we don't have leads to talk to, whose fault is that? It's Cody's. And Cody will admit that. And I think having fingers to point is actually a good thing and a really good partnership. But if you guys are both talking to sellers at this stage in the game, I think you have a problem. I think that is an issue, that there's a lot of integration that's not happening in your business. Yeah. When there really he needs to be focusing on that. Cody, am I wrong on any of this stuff?
No, I mean, if the challenge is, especially when it's like newer partnerships, you kind of step on each other's toes a lot, kind of doing a little bit of everything together. Everyone's doing a little bit of everything. And like the sooner you can kind of like this is your thing, this is my thing, and you can kind of get yourself out of like, well, how many calls did Shamir make today? And then how many did I make? Like, are we making the right amount of calls? And, it's easier if you can get in that conversation with Shamir of like, okay, I'm going to do this, you're going to do that. And, have that open discussion about the things you're going to do and the things you're not going to do. So then you don't have to, be both trying to do the same things, because you get a lot further when you can divide and conquer than if you just were both trying to conquer everything.
Sure. Gotcha.
It's tough, man. It's a tough business, because when you learn some of this stuff, it's for us now talking to you, it sounds to us like common sense and super easy. But when we were getting together, Cody and I tripped all over each other for a while.
It was months. Yeah, it was months to get that figured out. And
I feel like our worst category that we tripped over was disposition.
Yeah, for sure.
Because Cody brought his own set of buyers to the relationship, and I brought my own set of buyers to the relationship. And like the way I, liked doing disposition, Cody did not. And so we didn't fight about it, but we were definitely stepping all over each other. And then we had the added element of my wife, who was doing a lot of my business. It was like, how do we find Laura's role in all of this? There was a lot of that stuff at the beginning. Now, like looking back on it, it feels like it was a 4-minute window, but it was really more like a 3 to 5 month window, right?
Yeah, it was months of bouncing around, just trying to, get it all synced up.
And like wondering how the other person feels about it. And like, I don't want to hurt this person's feelings and all of those things. The same stuff that you deal with, Matt. Cody and I dealt with that as well.
Yeah.
So I think, the goal for you, Matt and Shamir, do you guys have a monthly goal that you're shooting for? Is it 2 contracts a month? Is it 4 contracts a month?
Yeah, for sure. Well, 3 actually is what our goal would be. I mean, that was our goal. My brother and I's goal before. It was my brother and I the whole time, and now it's me and Shamir, like I said. But it's pretty much been that. That's 3. It would be nice. Shit, at this point, one would be nice. To be honest with you.
Let's break that down real quick. If my goal is 3 contracts a month, Cody, how many leads do I need to generate to hit 3 contracts a month?
Average 150 leads a month. Just as like, if you don't have an average of what your business is already doing to get a contract, 50 leads per contract is a good starting point to be at. And then as you're working in your business over 3, 6, 9, 12 months, you can look back and see, okay, am I still at that 50 leads per contract, or have I gotten better and now I'm at 40 leads per contract, maybe less? But that's a good starting point, because then it also becomes easy to get frustrated if you feel like you're working a lot, and then it's the sellers, you're having you're having a lot of hard conversations, but you don't feel like you're getting traction. And knowing kind of those numbers more will give a lot more clarity, just to like feel like, okay, well, I'm just not generating enough leads to get the amount of contracts that I want to get, or I'm not making the right amount of calls to get those amount of contracts. So you can kind of just bounce back and forth on that to know where you need to be.
Yeah, let's talk about that just real quick, Matt. Industry average for one contract is an average of 50 leads per contract. Okay. Now, when you start implementing creative finance, usually you get that lead. Ours is like 1 in 21 leads, we get a contract. Okay. But industry average is 1 in 50. So if I'm generating 150 leads a month, then that means I deserve 3 contracts, as long as I also hit the other industry average, which is 50 phone calls a day to those existing leads in follow-up, right? Because you're not cold calling, Matt. You've got to do all your follow-up. So you've got to have 50 leads per contract, and you've got to have 50 calls a day to achieve that number, right? In terms of follow-up. And okay, are you ready now? You said you weren't ready last week. Are you ready now? Are you ready now?
Right.
Those types of follow-up sequences. And we could talk another day all about follow-up sequences. We don't literally say those words. There's different follow-up sequences we follow. But 50 leads to a contract, it only happens when you actually do 50 calls a day of outreach. And we learned this. This is what we learned. When you have like smartphone, we have a piece of software inside of our CRM called Smartphone. When you use Smartphone, it's a click to dial, right? It's not a multi-line dialer, but it's click to call. So you're not actually entering in information. You're not calling them on a physical phone. You can make those 50 calls in about a 2.5 to 3 hour time frame and have some really good quality conversations. Okay. So at some point when you have a VA, your entire job, Matt, right now should consist of only 3 hours worth of work every day at the bare minimum. So if you have a day job or you have other places to go, I would be time blocking every day. What 3 hours am I making my 50 calls, and focus on that, and then have Shamir deal with everything else. Everything else goes on him. You need to focus on talking to sellers, and you need to focus on every single part of your mind needs to be watching seller calls, studying sales scripts, how to overcome this objection, those types of things. That's where your primary focus should be. And then at that point, I'd say after 30 to 60 days, you now can know your numbers. You go, okay, well, we generated 130 leads, so definitely don't deserve 3 contracts. But I got 1 contract, and it's because I only made 27 calls on average every day. So I already know what I got to fix. It's not your VA. It's not your lead flow. The thing you got to fix right now is don't go get more leads, because you can't handle the 125 you got. You should have had 2 contracts, not 1.
Right.
It's basic math. And I think a lot of people it's interesting how lost people get. It's kind of like you go to the mechanic, like your car breaks down, you go to the mechanic, and the mechanic's like, okay, we got to fix your radiator. We need all 4 new tires. Your timing belt is off, and we got to change your oil. And you go, okay, great. And then your car breaks down again. And then let's say that you go back to the mechanic. The mechanic goes, well, you need 4 new tires, you need a radiator, a timing belt, and you need an oil change. You're going to be like, no, I don't. I just got those. I fixed that. So the challenge is you don't even know where you're at right now, right? You don't even know those numbers. If Cody told you, this is your problem, you could not argue with him that was your problem or not. Right. So we got to get that. We got to get your partner Shamir to be able to give you those numbers. So 1, what are my leads for the last 30 days, my last 30 revolving days? What are my leads? 2, what is Matt doing every day in terms of outreach and follow up with those sellers? And once you know those numbers, then you can start tweaking your business.
Yeah. Sure. Makes sense.
Cody, do you know the answer to this one?
How many calls to get 50 leads? I mean, we're talking about calling already leads in the database. So just for people to understand that, we're not talking about just making cold calls. We're talking about cold calls that were already made, generated leads, and these are calls that are following up with those leads, Jose. So just being fair there. As far as for our callers, for example, our cold callers are generally making 800 to 1,000 dials on a daily basis. Of those 800 to 1,000 dials that they're making, they're typically going to have 100 to 120 conversations. Out of those 100 to 120 conversations, are generally going to generate 1 to up to 3 leads a day from those. So that's, hopefully that helps.
So Matt, I know it's 11 o'clock where you're at right now. It's only 8 o'clock. So we kind of got a cheat code on you. I don't want to keep you too long, but I do want to answer a couple of questions here. So
Yeah.
Unlimited Dreams says, how can I generate more leads? We make over 600 calls a day, and I feel like we should be getting more leads a day. Let me tell you something right now. Matt uses a company called Start Virtual. So let's cover that real quick. In the side chat, you guys can look at startvirtual.com. He generates 3 leads a day. How many cold calls do you make every day, Matt? How many cold calls do you make every day?
Our VA, you mean, right?
No, you.
Oh, from follow-ups between
No,
just cold calls. Just cold
Matt,
calls.
Oh, my bad.
Calls. The answer should be
zero. Yeah.
So everybody pay attention to this. If you are cold calling yourself in this business, I do not advocate that. I do not advocate cold calling in this business, because that's like, you're sitting there trying to do something that we pay people under $10 an hour to do.
Yeah.
It is the lowest. How do I describe this? It's not the low.
It's just not a good use of time. It's not a good use of time.
There you go. It's not a good use of time. Obviously, I forgot how to speak English. Holy shiz. It's a horrible use of your time is to cold call. And I know there's a lot of people, including some of my best friends, that will teach, go out and learn how to cold call. I disagree. Hire somebody to do that. It's kind of the same. I tell people this story. If I have a cavity, I'm not learning how to replace or fix cavities. I'm going to hire a dentist.
Right.
That's it. Go hire somebody to do the things you don't want to do. And the reason why people struggle in this business is because they don't have a business, because they don't have leads. And if they don't have leads, then they don't have a business. Here's the thing, Matt. You might not be getting all the deals you want. We got to make some tweaks and some adjustments. But you have leads, bro. You have solved, whether you feel this way or not, you have solved like 75% of the problems that every business has.
Well, okay, good.
It's just last 25%, right?
Yeah, that's the big
last
thing.
25%.
Yeah, I appreciate it for you saying that. My brother and I used to sit here where I'm at now in this, this hot back bar room where I have at my house, and we would go through the tax delinquent list for free and just boom, 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 just me and him. And that's right. It was a huge time sucker. It was not saying we didn't will our way to a deal here and there at that time, but it was to both of y'all's point. It's a huge time sucker for sure.
Right. So guys, let me just show you this really, really quick. I want to make sure that we are all on the same page. I'm going to change this up real quick. And I want to show you guys, if you are having a hard time with leads in your business, let me full screen this real quick. All right. So check this out. If I am generating leads, I go hire a cold caller. Okay. A cold caller should generate between 2 to 3 leads a day on average. Okay. That cold caller puts that into my CRM, or my customer relationship manager, right? Some people use Podio. Some people use FreedomSoft. We are, I think, switching over to FreedomSoft. I think we like it a lot. So I think we're potentially switching over to FreedomSoft, but that's another conversation for another day. So the cold caller puts this information into the CRM, and the CRM then notifies you through a text message or even a notification inside the CRM itself, and you'd get a notification. And that notification says, hey, dude, you got a lead. You got a lead. I cold called for you. This cold caller here cold called for you, generated a lead, and you are, Matt, it sounds like you're getting probably about, let's see, you're probably getting about 75 leads a month. Okay, something like that. Okay, so Matt's job is to call on the leads only. People who have already raised their hand and said, yes, I want an offer. Or maybe not I want an offer necessarily. They might say, okay, I'll have a conversation, right? Something like that. That's a lead. Somebody that expresses interest, that becomes a lead. Okay, now what happens is there's a lot of people out of those 75 that say, no, not right now, whatever. Matt's job is to, every month he gets another 75, another 75, another 75. And before long, Matt has 300 leads in his CRM. His job every day is to make 50 calls to those existing leads. We never want Matt to cold call. It's a waste of time. If you are cold calling, I am so sorry to strike you with this, but it is an absolute waste of your time. It is. I'm sorry. It's a waste of your time. Stop doing it. It's why a lot of people burn out. They hate it. And they just go, this business is really hard because you're doing a job that somebody in the Philippines can do 10 times better than you. Because cold calling requires consistency and most people can't stay consistent. I could never. I know. What is that saying? Know thyself. I know that I would never consistently cold call because the world demands way higher level things from me. I have way too many skills and way too many other opportunities I should be spending my time and energy on. Cold calling is a waste of my time. So absolutely stop cold calling. Hire a virtual assistant. Solve 75% of people's problems and hire a damn virtual assistant. Be done. That conversation should be over. Done. Stop it. Okay. Now we can have a real conversation of how to run a business instead of you cold calling, right? And I wish more people just like knew that.
Nobody says that, so it's true. Sorry to cut you off, but yeah.
No. So now we can have a conversation of why is Matt not converting those leads? And that's where you should be focusing your time and energy, is becoming more of an assassin, more of a ninja, and closing more of those deals. And so that's where we will help you out with on Saturday, is help encourage you to move some of these conversations forward and give you kind of a guideline and an expectation of how to handle these leads when we call your sellers for you on Saturday.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. I don't know if I should include my landlord who I've been with for 10 years, which is not going to make me money, but I've been considering. He wants to finance my current place to me. So
what's holding you back?
Definitely do that. Pace has worked out deals with friends or investor. I mean, all sorts of weird deals. So I think that would be fun.
I just talked to him the other day, and he's I don't know. I need Pace for that one for sure.
I'd be happy to talk to him. We had a private lender of ours. Her name is Desiree. How much money do we have of hers right now, Cody?
110,000.
She didn't reinvest like more money at some point?
No, that's what we have of hers right now is 110.
Okay, so we have $110,000 of her money wrapped up in some sub-2 deals. And she's a nurse. And so she's like, so I see you doing all this like seller finance stuff with my money. And she's like, I've been renting for like 13 years. I go, we need to talk to your landlord.
Yeah, similar situation.
She's like, you'd be willing to do that? I go, yeah, set up a lunch. And so I went and I sat down with her and her landlord. I converted her. She now got a 0 down, 0% interest seller finance deal on her own personal house. And 2 months ago, she bought a second house from him. Now, that was 2 years ago that I helped her do that. But dude, happy to do that. Absolutely, you should be buying that place seller finance.
Yeah, that would be amazing. He actually owned the house next to mine. I screwed up, and I just talked to him the other day. He said, "Oh yeah, I sold that 2 months ago." I said, "Shit," but at least mine is still, he says, holding for me. But that's why I get stuck, because he's saying this stuff. Oh, I want 6% interest, this, that, and the other, and the market's up now. I want this much, and and I'm like, I'm stuck here.
We just bought a mobile home park at 6%. Doesn't mean it's not a deal, right? Okay. There was a point where our parents were getting mortgages back in the 80s and 90s. They were paying like 12%, 14% interest. We've been spoiled at 2.5%, right? 3.5% interest. 6% interest is still a decent interest rate. It just depends on the terms, right?
Yeah.
Here's one that's really interesting. Cody and I just bought a handful of deals where the purchase contract, this was the purchase contract. Check this out. The seller's like, I feel like the market's going to continue to go up. And my neighbor's telling me I shouldn't sell. So what I do is I go to the seller and I go, we will buy your houses for Zillow market price plus $20,000 at the close of escrow. So that means that if Zillow keeps going up all the way through the next 30 days, so does our purchase price. The day we close escrow on your deal, it's a seller finance deal, right? Remember, I care less about the purchase price. I care more about the terms. So we ended up buying, that's actually what our purchase contract states. Our purchase contract states Zillow price at close of escrow plus $20,000. This is where creative finance dominates. And this is where so many people are missing the ball, is that we'll buy deals all over the place, cash flowing $5,000, $6,000 a month on Airbnbs. How much money are we making on Sonnet right now, Cody? Are we like net? Do we know?
We're a little bit closer to 2 right now, but it also is summertime, the hottest and slowest season of the month for Arizona.
And we paid $50,000 over retail for that. $50,000 over retail, and we're netting $2,000 a month on one property. Net, not generating income. That's net in our pocket. Cody can go buy $2,000 of whatever Cody buys $2,000 of. Right? So no, the purchase price, I care less about the purchase price. I care more about the terms. And that's what creative finance is all about. So this is where we can teach you more on Saturday, Matt, is a little bit more, give you an inside look on inside of the mentorship and let you come in. Let's see here. So Prime Effectable says, Pace, where can I subscribe to your membership? Don't subscribe to my mentorship. Work with my existing students. My students are right here in the side chat. Go to the students and say, how can you help me? These students get 25 Zooms a week with our team, 25 Zooms a week with our team. So they have crazy training. Okay. Zachary Hamilton says, I've been wasting my time for 2 years. I'm a glutton for punishment. I'm going to tell you right now, I think I know what this is. I feel like this is a fear of success. And I have this fear too. It's like, I will continually do stupid shit because I'm afraid to succeed. So I'll just keep like, Cody, do you ever do this to yourself, or do you not have that fear?
No, I definitely do that. I mean, I do that with my fitness too. So it happens. Are
you like afraid of looking ripped? Is that what it is?
Subconsciously, maybe. I don't know.
It's some of those subconscious things that you just like self-sabotage yourself sometimes.
Right. Well, here's the thing. I can tell you that one of my biggest fears has been the fear of success. It's like, do I really deserve this? Am I really worthy of being a multimillionaire? And it was like really cool. I saw Cody's Instagram the other day. He made a post. He was standing in front of his Porsche.
Yeah, I saw that too. Awesome.
And it was a really great post. The post I really liked there is he said, I'm a net worth millionaire. And I was like, that's a powerful statement. Right. And it reminded me that Cody and I do deserve everything that we have. In fact, we deserve more. And it's a paradigm shift. And that post with Cody, something hit me. It hit me in a certain way. It was really interesting. So if you guys don't feel like you deserve it, I promise you do. I promise you deserve it. There's a lot dumber people making a lot more money than you.
Yeah.
It's just that they believe that they can do it. It's freaking weird.
Yep.
It's freaking weird. So, Matt, did you get any value from tonight? I know Cody and I just blabber on.
No, invaluable. So do I usually. So I hopefully I did well and shut the hell up. And but yeah, it's invaluable, man. I mean, ever since the first 5 minutes when you talked about the Saturday thing, I said I should have left in on a high note. That alone, you know. And I know part of this what do you call it, challenge or whatever it was, to invite people was included the 0 to hero, the next thing. So that also, that, you know, even that alone was invaluable. So this on top of that is just, like I said, once this logs off, I'll, you know, do a Will Ferrell and streak down the street and wild out or something.
Hey, you know what we should do? You know what we should do for you, Matt? Did Kelly give you access to Zero to Hero?
I don't know about maybe, but I know that she said I was. I don't know about a link yet, but yeah,
Okay,
no,
cool.
not a link yet. I don't think.
Okay, so that's one of the things that you won as winning the contest inside the Facebook group is you win access to the Zero to Hero challenge. So all the sub 2 students already have it, but what I would do is reach out to Kelly. It is game changing. I think that there's things that you guys probably are not doing with your VA and the way that you're not running your business that you need to see this in Zero to Hero. So get Kelly. I'm sure she's already on it. Kelly's always on everything. And what we'll do is Kelly and I will coordinate with you coming into the mentorship on Saturday, and we'll call your sellers. I'll call your sellers. Matt will call your sellers. And then some of my students will call your sellers as well. And we'll show you how we do things in sub 2.
Man, that's just incredible. I don't even know what else to say.
Well, you deserve it, bro. You deserve every bit of it because you were so helpful and helping us build our community with the Facebook group. And I thank you, and Cody thanks you.
Thank you, brother. Thank both of y'all. It's amazing.
Absolutely.
I can't even say.
Well, we'll see you on Saturday or what?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I'm sure, like you said, Kelly or whoever will reach out to me and tell me whatever. Right.
Love it. Thank you, Matt. And everybody, if you need to reach out to Matt, his Instagram is Matt Suddith on Instagram. So at Matt Suddith, Suddith.
Yep.
Matt Suddith on Instagram. Reach out to him. DM. You guys should be linking up and doing things together. Matt, any final words?
No, man, that's it. Well, I'll say I'm not going to just drop names on folks, but shout out to y'all know who you are already in your mentorship that are helping me out, squadding up. Amazing. And I'm not even in the mentorship. It's amazing. It's, I can see from all y'all that are helping already. And I just extremely grateful to both of you guys for taking your time. I know it is 3 hours behind me, but still, I'm very grateful. It's amazing, man. So yeah, I look forward to Saturday.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. Cody, it's always good to see you, bro. Am I going to get to see you tomorrow?
Yeah. We'll see you tomorrow night for
partnership meeting or what?
Yes, sir.
All right, guys, have a great.
Sorry, his pep talk was you weren't going to be here 45 days vacationing and you weren't going to come. So
I was like, Cody's still recovering from his 45-day vacation. So we'll see if he comes.
So I was blessed to have you on as well. Thank you so much.
All right, guys, we'll see you next week on Sunday service, 7 p.m. every single week. You can watch it on Cody's YouTube or my YouTube. Cody, what is your YouTube? Is it youtube.com/Cody Barton?
I think so. If you just type in Cody Barton on YouTube.
You should double check that so I can share that with people.
Kelly, help.
Yeah, help Cody. So guys, if you go to Cody's YouTube, you'll learn a lot more integrator-based items, a very different flavor from myself.
Yeah.
And I watch and consume Cody's stuff where I'm like, just his Instagram post the other day, I was like, damn. And he's my partner. And I'm like, damn, that was good. I didn't text him about it because I was too busy, just thinking about how good that post was. But go follow Cody on YouTube, guys. We had a little over 300 live viewers between Cody's YouTube, my YouTube, and our Facebook group. So thank you guys for all tuning in, and we will see you guys next week on Sunday service.